On October 21, 2015, during a global conference in Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Haj Amin al-Husseini, the former Mufti of Jerusalem, convinced Hitler to implement the Holocaust against the Jews in Europe. According to Netanyahu, Hitler initially wanted to expel the Jews from Europe to Palestine, but al-Husseini persuaded him to carry out the Holocaust instead. Who was Mufti Amin al-Husseini? What was his relationship with Hitler? Why did Hitler promise to liberate Palestine from the Jews and grant independence to all Arab countries if he won the war? Did al-Husseini really convince Hitler to carry out the Holocaust in Europe? Welcome to a new episode about World War II. Today, we will explore the relationship between Hitler and Mufti Amin al-Husseini. In 1897, Muhammad Amin Tahir al-Husseini was born to an ancient religious family in Jerusalem. His father, Tahir al-Husseini Effendi, held the position of Mufti of Jerusalem for more than 40 years. The Husseini family has a historical lineage that dates back to al-Hussein bin Ali, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. Amin al-Husseini received his education in the schools of Jerusalem and completed memorizing the Quran by the age of 9. At 14, his father sent him to Egypt to continue his education at Al-Azhar al-Sharif. When World War I broke out, Amin al-Husseini decided to travel to Istanbul to join the military school for reserve officers. After graduating, he was appointed as an officer in the Ottoman army in the Izmir and Black Sea region, which was inhabited by many Jews. He discovered that the Jews talked a lot about establishing a state in Palestine. Before the end of World War I in 1917, the British government issued a statement declaring Britain's support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, which was part of the Ottoman Empire at the time. This statement is historically known as the Balfour Declaration, named after the British Foreign Minister Arthur Balfour. In response, Amin al-Husseini decided to return immediately to Palestine. He began to educate the Palestinian people about the danger of this declaration to Palestine. He hastened to establish scientific and cultural associations and clubs, such as the Arab Club in 1918, which aimed at political and national awareness and training young people to fight. The Zionist leader Weizmann warned of the danger of the Arab Club's activities to the Jews. Weizmann mentioned that the members of the Arab Club flocked to the villages to incite the Arab peasants against the Jews. These members also tried to form terrorist organizations to later wage a guerrilla war against the Jews. In 1921, the Mufti of Jerusalem, Sheikh Kamal al-Husseini, the elder brother of Amin al-Husseini, died. As usual, someone from the al-Husseini family was chosen to hold the position of Mufti. Amin al-Husseini was selected as the new Mufti of Jerusalem. The following year, in 1922, he was elected president of the Supreme Islamic Council to manage the affairs of endowments and Sharia courts. During his tenure, al-Husseini continued to confront the conspiracies of the British occupation and the Jews. In 1928, Jews at the Barak Wall upset Muslims by using curtains and chairs to assert control. Mufti Amin al-Husseini warned the British about Jewish ambitions, but was ignored. This led to violent clashes as Jews persisted in their control attempts. The next year, British forces backed Jews, arresting Arabs and promoting Jewish immigration to Palestine. Al-Husseini persisted in peaceful advocacy, but in 1935, British forces killed Sheikh Izz al-Din al-Qassam, fueling Arab anger. Al-Husseini saw no choice but to use force to defend Palestine. The armed revolution began in 1936, and a general strike spread throughout the country. Sheikh Amin al-Husseini then attempted to communicate with the German Council in Jerusalem. By this time, Hitler had come to power in Germany and had begun to officially declare his hatred for the Jews. Sheikh al-Husseini believed that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and thus asked the German Council for Germany to take a decisive stance to prevent the migration of Jews to Palestine. However, Germany did not respond to Sheikh al-Husseini's request because it was benefiting from the migration of Jews from Europe to Palestine. Additionally, Hitler did not want to provoke Britain and France and interfere their colonial affairs because he was not yet ready to enter the war. During the Arab Revolution in Palestine, Britain's decision to partition Palestine sparked further anger. Arab revolutionaries killed the British ruler who was seizing Palestinian lands for the Jews. In response, Britain dissolved the Supreme Islamic Council and sought to arrest its leader, Sheikh Amin al-Husseini, who escaped to Lebanon. With the outbreak of World War II in 1939, Britain pressured France to arrest al-Husseini, but he fled to Iraq, where he found support among nationalist leaders and pro-German ministers. Al-Husseini joined Iraqi officers planning a coup led by Rashid Ali al-Gaylani. In January 1941, he sent a letter to Hitler, proposing that a pro-German Iraq would disrupt British interests and secure oil for Germany. Impressed, Hitler promised to recognize Arab independence. The coup occurred in April 1941, but German support was minimal due to Hitler's focus on invading the Soviet Union. British forces quickly suppressed the coup. Al-Husseini then fled to Turkey, Italy, and eventually Berlin. On November 28, 1941, he met with Hitler in a meeting that lasted over an hour and a half. They agreed on the Axis powers recognizing the independence of Arab countries and the expulsion of Jews from Palestine. In return, al-Husseini urged the recruitment of Muslim prisoners from Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, and other Arab countries, as well as Muslims from the Balkans, into the German army. However, Hitler refused to officially announce the agreement for political and military reasons, fearing it would anger the French. Al-Husseini, concerned about Hitler's refusal to publicly declare the agreement, mentioned in his memoirs that although the meeting reassured him about Hitler's ultimate plan to eliminate the Jews, he found Hitler's excuses unconvincing. It's important to note, dear viewer, that Hitler was notorious for breaking promises, as evidenced by his invasion of the Soviet Union despite pledging to Britain and France that he would not expand further after annexing Czechoslovakia. In 1945, as Germany was losing the war, al-Husseini attempted to flee to Switzerland but was arrested by France and placed under house arrest. He was released in 1947 and eventually reached Cairo. In 1961, he moved to Beirut, where he lived until his death in 1974. Regarding Netanyahu's accusation against al-Husseini, even Jewish scholars denounced the claim that al-Husseini incited Hitler to carry out the Holocaust. Hitler had expressed his desire to eliminate Jews long before he came to power. Although al-Husseini supported eliminating Jews, it was Hitler who orchestrated the Holocaust, not under the influence of an Arab leader he met for only an hour and a half. The question remains, was Hitler sincere in his promises to al-Husseini, or was he merely exploiting him?